Hello everyone, it's Mike here. Let's talk. Well, what do I talk about? I don't know. Space news, I guess. So there have been a lot of things going on lately that I want to talk about. But the first thing that I want to talk about is what happened at Space Access. There were so many different presentations that were given and so many awesome ideas that I want to talk about. Not just what SpaceX did, which you can see the video that I talked about, the presentation they gave and the interview I got with Gwen Shotwell right here. On the very first day, Henry Vanderbilt opened the conference, who I believe is the main organizer of the Space Access Conference. And then we had Henry Spencer speak afterwards, who is kind of a staple of the Space Access conferences, and he always kind of starts off the program. And what he talked about was really interesting. He talked about what he believes should be the destinations that NASA or humans in general should go to next, and he favors asteroids. And he talked about a lot of really interesting asteroids that are out there and the chemical compositions of them and how they could be useful to us. And also talked about the New Dawn mission. The New Dawn mission is a probe that has been sent to the asteroid belt to investigate Ceres, which most people don't know is another dwarf planet that is in our solar system in between the orbits of Mars and Jupiter. Most people have no idea that that's there. But Ceres is one of its destinations, and the other one is Vesta, which is the second largest asteroid in the entire belt. And Henry Spencer talked about that mission and all the different science and data that we're supposed to get from that. You know, it's all really exciting. Even though Henry Spencer says that we need to go to asteroids, he does believe that we need to go back to the moon first before we go on to the asteroids. And I kind of tend to lean towards that argument myself. But I just want to reiterate the fact, and I'm sure a lot of you who are watching this already know this, but I just want to reiterate that some of these rocks out there are worth anywhere from $20 to $30 trillion a piece. I mean, if anyone could go out there and get the materials from some of those, you could literally change everything. Next up was Dennis Stone, who works at NASA for the CCDev and COTS programs. And if you don't know already, COTS stands for the Commercial Orbital Transportation Services, which is a program to help private sector companies like SpaceX and Orbital Sciences develop rockets and spacecraft to send cargo to the International Space Station. And then CCDev, like COTS, gives money to private sector companies to build spaceships to send people to the International Space Station. And recently NASA announced that they're not so much interested in rockets to send these spaceships up, but more the spaceships themselves, such as capsules or space planes. And he was there giving an update on the progress of the different COTS contracts as well as CCDev. Now, CCDev has already announced one round of contracts that they've given out, and all those companies, although some of them were a surprise, all were beneficial things that will enable the crew development program. And at the time that I went to this conference, the second round hadn't been announced yet, but they were down to about 8 finalists. And Dennis Stone, who gave the presentation, he wasn't allowed to talk about it. But since then, the winners have been announced, and there have been 4 companies that have won that contract. One of which is Blue Origin, which has been a very secretive enterprise and hasn't really publicly announced just about anything that they're doing. I mean, there are a few things out there, so I'm going to talk about, you know, those carrots that they dingled in front of us in the past, but now that they've won this contract bid, a lot of their information is becoming a lot more public, and we're seeing what kind of designs they're wanting to go for. And they received the smallest bid for COTS, which is about $22 million. But the other 3 companies that won the second round were SpaceX at $75 million to continue development of their Dragon capsule to be able to have crew to send to the International Space Station. And then there was the Sierra Nevada Corporation, which is building the Dream Chaser space plane. And I'm going to have, just like the Blue Origin, I'm going to have another video talking about their whole plans. And then the final company that won was Boeing. And they're developing a capsule, which is going to be called the CST-100, which stands for Crewed Space Transport. And they've actually accomplished a lot of work on that capsule. They're, in my opinion, just about as far along as, say, the Orion capsule is in its development. I mean, they already have test articles to do different tests with. They've already done a bunch of landing tests. They've already built a closed-loop life support system in collaboration with Bigelow Aerospace, and they've just gotten a lot of work done. And I'm going to have another video about them as well, getting a little bit more specific about a lot of the details that they've done. But they're so far along, and they're talking about wanting to do the first crewed test flight in like 2014. And how fast time has been going by, that's really not that far away at all. Now, there's lots of other cool things that I want to talk about that happened at the Space Access Conference, but if I do, this will be a 20-minute video, and I don't want to take up all your time, so I'll just see you next time, and I'll tell you about all the other cool things that have happened then. See you later.